To just start the breakdown now. So I will move the screen onto my trading view screen. You know where I'm long from, and we will break down why I'm long and morning trade plan for the 22nd of May. So another week left next week, and then we'll hopefully have, we'll see, you know, my theory in terms of, not even my theory, but typically what we see on the end of the month is an end of month rally, specifically from the 28th onwards. But I think next week, 28th will be Wednesday. So we'll see what we get next week. What we're going to do is just have a look both on the indexes and the ETFs. So that will be the SPY for the ES and the QQQs for the NQ, and just to sort of have a look where we've come from. So I've got both extensions, both the longs and the shorts on there, just because they are both technically in play. One has already sort of completed, which will be the long from the basically the Trump buy the dip comment. And that has gone all the way to its negative 62 completion, both on the NQ and the ES. One thing that I do find important on the SPY and also the QQQ, which you won't necessarily see on the NQ because it's 24 hours, but we have had two inside days on the Qs. And typically inside days will result in a expansion day either to the upside or to the downside. Now, so far, they have broken to the downside, right? So notably 517s on the Qs, and you've got roughly, call it 590s on the 590s to 585s on the SPY. So technically speaking, downside is in play. But as you can see, the reason I'm long is if we jump over to the NQ, we have a support level, which if I just go on to the half an hour time frame, we have had a huge reaction from it. I drew it this morning, and what's crazy is the midpoint of this zone, which is pretty much the level I marked yesterday was 22,000 down to 20,900. That lines up with two things. One is a same anchor new high 38% retracement, which I'll show you where that comes from. It also lines up really nicely with a look below and fail on the RTH. Where is the on the RTH low from yesterday? So you can see here the yesterday's RTH low was at 2172. And this morning we have, if you look on the 1 minute time frame, a really, really nice textbook draw under over. So you break it, consolidate ATR up on the 1 minute, rebalance. And obviously I think we had news at 8:30, which resulted in the move. But as I always say, when the chart is ready, news typically follows, right? So again, on the 5 minute, you can see how that looks. You have your 38% retracement, which is this level here, which I'm going to break down in a second where that comes from. That is 2168. That is also yesterday's low, so that's two confirmations. And then you also have an under over with news, which set up a really nice move up. So that high to high comes from, if we zoom out, I'm going to go to the hourly. So if you remember back when we picked the low on Wednesday, the 30th of April, you can see here we had the FOMC halfway back, which traded at 2 p.m. on the 7th of May, Wednesday. That went all the way to its completions, and then this actually all the way to its negative 100. So you can see here, this was the FOMC halfway back, and this was the negative 100% completion. Okay, so you can see entry at the 50, exit at the negative 100, sets up the next high to high. That trades the 38 this morning at 21,068. And again, how's that look on the half an hour time frame? Well, we have a big, large green dildo candle to the upside, which is what we like to see. The only thing I would prefer, It technically doesn't have to. We could just gap and go from these highs here at 21,200, call it. But I would like to have a little bit of a rebalance back down into this area here coming down into yesterday's low, and even that midpoint of around 21,100 would be nice, and that is also a fair buy because it's a halfway back. Okay, 21,133. So I want to try and be bullish if I can, but at the same time, we have to pay attention to the fact we are at that 79% of the range, and again, we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days inside this range. So I'm hoping this is more consolidation to then send us up as opposed to consolidation and then break down lower. That's what I would prefer to trade, but you always have to be prepared for a crazy situation, right? There's nothing saying we couldn't just drop all the way back down into a full halfway back, and if we do, that is 19,000. Okay, so that is a huge move down. So you always have to have both sides of the story in the back of your mind, because anything can happen, and so you always have to be prepared for that. So in terms of the shorts, if you are looking to trade them, we technically have traded a reversal bar to the downside. Now, that hasn't yet traded a halfway back, I don't think. No. So a halfway back would be at around 21,300, which is 110 points away. Maybe you take a stab long, or even that a stab short, or even the 21,360s. I will alert that on my screen, so if it does go off, that is also the midpoint of the ATR bar reversal to the downside. So they will be the levels I mark. Besides that, I have drew this box at 21, call it 21,200s down to call it 20,900. There's a 300 point range here. That midpoint has been respected so far, and I imagine potentially we stay inside this range. I will be looking to see if we do break and retest, then this will be the high, and that will be the place potentially where we can look to go long. But again, a halfway back would be more ideal. If you want to be more conservative, wait for the halfway back to complete a 23, wait for the retest down into a 38% retracement. That will also be a break and retest of this zone. So yeah, that's what I got going into today. I want to say neutral to bullish, but at the same time, if I see a short, I definitely will take one. I don't like playing the short side when I am bullish, but those dailies are or have set up technically the short side, so just have to be aware of that, especially on the ES. It looks a lot more juicy, so yeah, just be aware of that. Any questions, let me know in the Discord, and I will jump on over to Zoom now to share the trades.